On the 41st day, I stopped filing the distress calls. Not because I had given up exactly. I still had power. The beacon ran on its own circuit, a low-pulse loop that did not require my attention, and I let it run. But the calls, the formal ones, the ones addressed to the Survey Guild Emergency Relay at Parrot Station, to the Compact Search Coordination Index, to the Merchant Warden Network, whose patrol vessels sometimes cross the outer Veteran. Those I stopped filing at 0600 on day 41, because there was no one left to address them to. The Survey Guild had responded on day 3. A routing acknowledgement, automated. Position logged outside the active patrol corridor. No qualifying asset available for non-corridor recovery. Priority reassignment pending quarterly review. The Compact's index had closed my case automatically at day 30, which was standard. Unresolved distress signals older than 30 days with no claimant vessel in approach were reclassified as historical records. I had not known that rule existed. I had filed 8 calls in the first week alone. The Merchant Warden had never responded at all. So I sat in what had been the navigator's station, my station, before the drive, coupling sheared on day 1, and took Osvin and Reth with it. And I watched the Veteran scatter do what it had always done. Nothing. Dead rock and old ice, and the occasional slow tumble of debris from whatever collision had seeded this corridor 1,000 years before any species thought to chart it. The Survey Guild had charted it eventually. That was why we were here. That was why Seville Reach had been assigned to map the scatter's inner band, a job considered low priority enough that no patrol route had ever been established, which is also why no patrol vessel had passed in 41 days. I had 9 crewmates once. We had left Parrot Station with 10 aboard. I was the only one left by day 7. I do not speak of the days between. I speak of day 42, which was the day the beacon caught something. I almost did not check. The alert tone had fired twice before on magnetic interference from the debris field, and both times I had hauled myself out of the navigator's chair and crossed to the comm station and found nothing. But I checked. I always checked. I think that is the only fact about myself I am certain of now, that I always checked. It was a vessel, drive signature on approach. Small, running without a transponder ID that matched any guild registry I could call up, which meant it was either a private long-haul hull or an unregistered independent, the kind that ran bulk transfer contracts through corridors the guild considered inactive. It was neither of those things. It was human. I did not know that yet. I did not know what a human vessel looked like on approach. Their drive signatures are short pulse, slightly irregular. Later someone told me it was intentional. Their engineers prefer the redundancy of an asymmetric burn. I only knew that the drive signature was unfamiliar and the vessel was decelerating, which meant it had seen me. It took them 20 minutes to close the distance. I spent those 20 minutes doing things I had not done in 2 weeks, checking the atmospheric seals on the forward docking collar, clearing the access corridor of equipment I had pulled out of storage and never put back, and standing in front of the small reflective panel above the comm station looking at myself. I think I needed to confirm I was still a person someone might be coming to find. They docked without asking permission. The magnetic clamp engaged and the corridor pressurized, and then the hatch opened, and there were 4 of them. I had seen images of humans in the Survey Guild's species registry. Bilateral, mammalian, mid-range in most tolerances. The registry noted their tendency toward what it called disproportionate response to distress signals, which I had always read as a behavioral quirk. It had not occurred to me that it was a description of something that would one day matter to me personally. The 4 who came through my hatch, a tall one in a gray work jacket who I understood later was the captain, a shorter one carrying a medical kit who moved immediately toward me without being directed, and 2 others who went past me into the vessel without asking, cataloging damage. They were calm. That was the thing I remember most. The way that people are calm when they have done a thing many times before and decided in advance that the outcome will be manageable. The captain looked at me. She had the kind of face that does not perform concern, but holds it anyway, somewhere behind the eyes. Navigator, she said. She had my vessel's designation on a handheld screen. She had pulled the registry entry for Seville Reach during approach. She had already looked us up. Yes, I said. How long have you been alone? 35 days. She noted that. She did not say anything about it. The medic was already running a scanner along my arm, and I let her. Anyone else aboard? I told her no. I told her there had been 9. I told her about day 7 in as few words as I could, and she listened. And when I finished, she made a note on the screen and said, "I'm sorry." And I believed her, which I had not expected. "Why are you in this corridor?" I asked. I do not know why that was the question I had. Perhaps because no one was supposed to be in this corridor. Perhaps because the guild had told me, in its routing acknowledgement, that no qualifying asset was available, and I needed to understand what asset had arrived instead. She told me they were running a bulk polymer transfer from the Outer Threv depot to a refinery station, 2 systems trailing. The veteran corridor cut 11 days off the transit. The guild didn't maintain it, she said, so there was no fee. And when my beacon hit their old format emergency band, the one guild vessels had stopped monitoring 4 years ago when they upgraded the standard. They had noted the position, cross-checked it against guild patrol records, confirmed no patrol was assigned, and diverted. "You weren't authorized," I said. "No," she agreed. "We filed the deviation after we were already moving." A pause. It was the right call. The 2 who had gone into the vessel came back. They told the captain something in a clipped exchange I could not follow. Their operational shorthand, I think, not a separate dialect, and she nodded and told them to rig the tow. "We can get the Seville Reach to way station Orifor," she said. "It's not guild certified for Sovhari hulls, but they have a dry dock. Someone can come collect her from there." I said yes. I said thank you. I said both those things, and I meant them, and they were not enough, and I knew they were not enough, and the captain seemed to know it too, because she did not say "you're welcome" or "of course," or any of the things that make gratitude comfortable to receive. She just nodded once and went back through the hatch to begin the tow prep. I could not look at her when she went. I am a Sovhari navigator. We are taught that precision is the highest professional virtue. You do not claim more than the data supports. You do not describe a corridor as safe unless you have the charts to prove it. I have tried to apply that to everything I tell people about day 42. The data is this. A human long-haul crew heard a beacon on a band their own guild had decommissioned, diverted without authorization, rigged a tow for a vessel not rated for their equipment, and brought me and the Seville Reach to way station Orifor in 11 days. The route authority levied a minor administrative hold on their freight contract, cleared within 72 hours when the deviation was classified as a humanitarian diversion. The captain's name was in the incident report. I have it. I have looked at it many times. She asked me, before they departed Orifor, if there was anything else I needed. I told her no. She told me the Survey Guild had been notified and a recovery escort was inbound. Then she shook my hand, a human custom I had read about and not experienced, and walked back up the Oren-Pale boarding ramp, and the ramp retracted, and the vessel undocked, and I stood on the way station dock and watched it go. The guild escort arrived 2 days later. The officer in charge filed a formal query about why a non-guild asset had handled the recovery. I told him what had happened. He said the guild would review its corridor patrol allocation, with the tone of someone describing a process that would conclude satisfactorily somewhere long after anyone involved was paying attention. I did not say anything to that. I thought about the captain's face when I told her there had been 9 of us, how she had noted it and said she was sorry and meant it, how she had not asked me to explain what had happened to the others, or whether I could have done something differently, or whether the guild had been properly notified. She had just received the fact and recorded it and moved on to what she could still fix. I think about that often, the way she moved toward what she could still fix. I filed my own report with the guild 2 weeks later. I included the beacon's frequency, the band the humans had been monitoring, and the date the guild had decommissioned it. I recommended the guild restore monitoring on that band. I do not know if anyone read it. I know the Oren-Pale still runs the veteran corridor. I checked.